Imagine a routine flight suddenly disappearing over the vast Pacific Ocean, leaving behind only a haunting final transmission and decades of unanswered questions. This is the story of Pan Am Flight 7, a tale that has baffled investigators and haunted the aviation world for over 6 decades. It was November 8, 1957. Pan American World Airways Flight 7, a majestic Boeing 377 Stratocruiser named Clipper Romance of the Skies, was embarking on the first leg of a glamorous round-the-world journey. The mood was optimistic. On board were 36 passengers and a crew of 8, ready for the 8-hour flight from San Francisco to Honolulu. This wasn't just any flight. It was a symbol of the golden age of air travel, a luxurious experience for those who could afford it. The passengers were a mix of tourists, business travelers, and families, all anticipating the warm shores of Hawaii. The crew, led by Captain Gordon H. Brown, was seasoned and highly respected. Everything seemed perfectly normal. The flight took off from San Francisco International Airport without a hitch, as the Clipper Romance of the Skies climbed into the afternoon sky. No one could have predicted the tragedy that was about to unfold. The first few hours were completely routine. The plane maintained regular radio contact, reporting its position and stable flight conditions. Around the halfway point of the journey, a point of no return over the vast, empty expanse of the Pacific Ocean, the crew sent a standard position report. Everything was proceeding as planned. But shortly after that, something went terribly wrong. At 5:04 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the U.S. Coast Guard radio station in San Francisco received a distress call. The co-pilot, William Wigan, spoke calmly, but delivered a terrifying message. "Pan Am 7, we seem to be ditched." He then added more fragmented, chilling details. "Number 1, engine is running away. Tail heavy, plane burning badly." The radio operator tried to get more information to understand what was happening, but before he could, the transmission cut out. The line went silent. And then there was nothing, just the static of an empty radio frequency stretching over thousands of miles of dark ocean. Immediately, one of the largest and most extensive search and rescue operations in the history of the Pacific was launched. The U.S. Navy, Coast Guard, and Air Force deployed ships and aircraft to scour the massive search area, a remote patch of ocean northeast of Honolulu. For days, they searched, battling rough seas and the sheer scale of the Pacific. Hope began to fade. The families of the passengers and crew waited in agonizing uncertainty. Nearly a week after the plane disappeared, the search finally yielded a grim discovery. On November 14th, the aircraft carrier USS Philippine Sea spotted a debris field. Floating in the water were personal effects, suitcases, pillows, and even unopened mail from the cargo hold. Then, they found something more definitive. 19 bodies, some still wearing their life jackets. Autopsies would later reveal that the victims had died from impact injuries and drowning, not from a fire. But a more startling finding was the unusually high level of carbon monoxide in their systems. This suggested they were exposed to toxic fumes before the plane even hit the water. What could have produced that carbon monoxide? And what caused the fire that the co-pilot reported? Investigators were left frustrated as they never found the crucial black boxers. The ocean in that area is incredibly deep, over 15,000 feet, making recovery with 1950s technology virtually impossible. They had to piece together the investigation from debris, bodies, and that chilling last message. The investigation, led by the Civil Aeronautics Board, explored numerous theories. The first and most obvious was a catastrophic mechanical failure. Co-pilot warned of a runaway engine issue. This is a dangerous situation where a propeller spins out of control, creating immense drag and vibration that could tear an engine from the wing. It's possible this could have ruptured a fuel line, sparking a fire. A turbo supercharger might have broken apart, sending shrapnel into the fuselage and causing chaos. This could explain the carbon monoxide, as fumes from the fire could have been sucked into the cabin. But as investigators dug deeper, the puzzle only became more complex. The lack of fire damage on the recovered bodies and debris seemed to contradict the co-pilot's report of the plane burning badly. Was the fire localized, or was it put out before the crash? And why did the victims have such high levels of carbon monoxide if they died from the impact and drowning? This led investigators down a much darker path. Could this have been an act of deliberate sabotage? The possibility of an insurance fraud scheme was considered, One passenger, a man named William Payne, had recently taken out large life insurance policies. He was also in significant debt. Investigators wondered if he had brought a bomb on board. Payne was a former Navy demolitions expert, so he would have had the knowledge to build a destructive device. The theory was that he might have used a carbon dioxide-based bomb, which would explain the lack of soot or chemical residue, and also the presence of carbon monoxide as a byproduct of the explosion. However, no direct evidence was ever found to support this. It remained pure speculation. One theory suggests that a disgruntled crew member, purser Eugene Crostuat, was involved. His supervisor had recently given him a negative performance review. Some whispered that Crostuat might have been a ticking time bomb. Could he have sought revenge against the airline in the most horrific way imaginable? Again, this was a theory born of desperation, with no concrete proof to back it up. Without the wreckage, proving any kind of sabotage was impossible. So, let's look at what we know for sure. We have a final message reporting a fire and a control issue. We have boaties with high carbon monoxide levels, yet the cause of death was impact and drowning. We have a debris field, but the main aircraft is lost to the ocean depths. Every piece of evidence seems to contradict another. If there was a fire, why were the bodies not burned? If it was an explosion, where was the evidence? The official report from the Civil Aeronautics Board, published in 1959, was ultimately inconclusive. They stated that they were unable to determine the probable cause of the accident. They looked into all the theories, propeller issues, turbo failures, even sabotage, but couldn't prove anything. The mystery of Pan Am Flight 7 was officially left unsolved. For the families of the 44 people on board, this lack of closure was devastating. They were left to wonder for the rest of their lives what really happened to their loved ones in those terrifying final moments. Did they realize what was happening? You know, these are questions that probably won't ever get a solid answer. Pan Am Flight 7 is a chilling reminder of how dangerous air travel used to be, and the ocean's deep, dark secrets. It's a cold case that has been revisited by authors, documentary filmmakers, and amateur sleuths for decades, each hoping to uncover a new clue or a forgotten detail that could finally solve the puzzle. But the deep Pacific holds its secrets close. The Clipper romance of the skies and what happened on its last flight are still one of aviation's biggest mysteries. What do you think happened on that fateful day? Was it a tragic mechanical failure or something more sinister? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story as fascinating as I do, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries, only here on Forgotten Clues.